army, the 500,000 Soviet soldiers stationed in Berlin, had clearly said if the Honecker regime will get into trouble, will not intervene in its support. So, as I said, the demonstrators who, on the eve of the opening of the wall, shouted, "We are the people," started shouting afterwards, "We are one people," so starting from freedom to unification of the country. And in fact, the opening of the Berlin Wall was the beginning of German reunification. Now, just to end with, I would like to point, however, and this is the problem which is now really preoccupying in reunified Germany, in reunified Berlin, it's the problem of the mental wall, the mental division, which has been building up between the former citizens of East Germany, called in German Ossis, and those of West Germany and West Berlin, called die Wessis. And this gap in mentality is widening. I mean, we don't really have the very thoroughgoing sociological analyses which you would expect, but we have the prestigious Allenbach Demoscopic Institute, who has been carrying on for many years a very interesting research into certain value-based convictions of people in the western and in the eastern part of Germany, obviously including the two Berlins. And it's very interesting that at the beginning, immediately after the unification, freedom was a value which was held in high esteem in the western part, in Western Germany, Western Berlin, whereas in the East, the idea of social justice was more important. This has changed in a way, because now, in both parts of Germany, with the crisis which has occurred recently, the problem of social justice and the idea that the state is there to solve people's problems has sort of become important in both parts. We have, however, growing contradictions in mentality, and also as far as the way this mental divide is considered. You can hear lots of people on both sides of the Berlin Wall saying, oh, maybe it was better to have the wall, because then we didn't have certain social problems, etc. And the West Berliners and the West Germans would say, we have to pay these huge social and financial transfers. In fact, per year, the transfer from West to East Germany amounts to about 100 billion marks, or now euro, pardon, per year, which is absolutely huge. On the other hand, the East Germans, and here they do not realize, I think, how privileged they are as compared to the people from the other transition countries. They expected a rapid spillover of the West German level of income and quality of life, and this did not materialize as quickly and to the degree they had hoped for. So in a way, after this huge mobilization effort, which the German reunification, it was a spectacular, fantastique, you have in fact a kind of, well, a great movement of disappointment or even of neglect. There are lots of people from Western Germany who never visited the eastern part of Germany, and also people from one side, the eastern side of Berlin, who didn't go to West Berlin, or vice versa. We have the phenomena of out-migration, which prompted the GDR government to close the war. This phenomenon is going on at a very fast pace, which is not really talked about. We have areas of Eastern Germany which have become deserted, where it's no reason to keep schools going, to keep health and hospitals going, to build any more infrastructure. Even one of the very fashionable infrastructure paid for by Western citizens before, until now, are no longer used because there is an out-migration. This out-migration concerns in particular, you cannot say young people, it concerns young women, because they are more competitive on the Western labor markets, whereas old people and sort of not so well educated young men are left in the former GDR. There is also another rapprochement in mentality between East and West. There is a kind of dissatisfaction with politicians and with politics. In German you call this Politik, Verdrossenheit, malaise with politics. There is a certain populist rhetoric, a certain disbelief in democratic institutions, and an insistence on the instruments of direct democracy, referenda, to the detriment of representative party democracy. And what's perhaps the most shocking, which after all I've said now, is the fact that the old GDR Communist Party, which is called the Unified SED, the Unified Workers' Party, it is back. Berlin since 2001 is governed by a coalition between Social Democrats and the so-called Reds, the former SED, which now has formed a coalition with a very left-wing West German party and is now called Die Linke. At the recent elections in Thuringia, you know, we have federal land, so it was a kind of federal land election. The left was the second strongest party, even before SPD, only after, for the Social Democrats, only after the Conservative Party. But to end on a happy note, perhaps a real winner of the demolition of the Berlin Wall is the city of Berlin. Berlin is the winner. Berlin has sort of overcome, since it became also the capital of unified Germany, which was a very contested decision taken at the time between Bonn and Berlin. Berlin has sort of the big scars, the wounds cutting through the city, particularly as far as these strips of no man's land were concerned, which are now showcases of modern architecture. Berlin, which now is the sum of two very rich cultured lives of East Berlin and West Berlin. Berlin is humming with modernistic, with innovative initiatives in all fields of the economy, but also in the fields of art. And I think Berlin is a wonderful place, and it is a place for hope. And let me finish on this note. Thank you very much.